We were made for community. Tonight I'm going to be talking about creating healthy one-on-one relationships in a single-player world. Most of the people in here, anyone have a Nintendo NES, that little controller? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Some people are like, I don't get it. But most of us have that, have one of those devices. We live in a world that's changing. Today is the most archaic social media will be in our history, because it's only progressing, right? It's transforming. Our kids are going to laugh at us that we had an iPhone. They're going to say, you had a what? Look at the size of that thing. You had to touch it with your fingers? Come on. And we look at it right now and we're like, come on, that's just silly. Come on. We have a computer in our Commodore 64. Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I had a Vic 20. I don't even know what that was. We were all playing games and trying to think we were all cool. But tonight we're going to be talking about creating healthy one-on-one relationships in an online world or in a single-player world. How many of you had a front porch when you were growing up? Front porch. You were the neighborhood. You walk in. Anybody had your front porch like to hang out and people would wave across and all that good stuff? I didn't really have that. We lived in single wide, so we didn't really have it. Had steps 1, 2, 3 down, and we were good. And so we didn't really have that beaver cleaver growing up. But here's one thing I want to let you know about community. You probably put this stuff together. Have you noticed that people don't sit on their front porches anymore? Have you noticed that? The conversation has moved. All of the money in construction now is put on back porches. All of the money in construction now is separating us from the world. And as nice as your neighbors may be, our lives we're being pulled apart, and we go into our cars with our rolled up windows, with the AC blowing, and we back out of our closed garages, and we saddle up to the mailbox and maybe put that window down just a little bit, pull that mail up. Sometimes we may see a neighbor, you may pop a hand up. You may have that neighbor that never waves. That absolutely annoys me, just so you know. If I wave at you, you better wave at me or I will beep at you. I promise, it's just going to happen. Passive aggressive that way, I'm getting over it, thanks to therapy. So we don't have front porches anymore. And think about our shopping habits, right? Online shopping. We want to avoid the rushes. We want to avoid everything. We've gone mobile. And so, how about this? Getting someone to answer their phone anymore. Anybody with me? They will get on their text all day long. You can see they're on Facebook, that green dot is there, but they will not answer the phone. We have isolated ourselves as a society. And my contention today, and what I want to share with you today, is just some reinforcements to make your world, your community, different. I want you to begin, by the end of this talk, I want you to begin to think about ways that you can intentionally engage with your community. Forget about the world. Forget about Lakeland. Start with you. Because that's what it's got to start with. Individual change. There's tremendous power and vulnerability in one-on-one relationships. And one of the challenges that we have as a society is we live in a culture that is increasingly pulling away. And so, came across this quote by one of my favorite authors, John Acuff. I think I'm actually going to quote John Acuff the rest of my life, and it's always going to be in a talk. Like Ravi Zacharias has his Malcolm Muggeridge. I will always have John Acuff. You'll never understand the unabashed power of community until you are a part of one. I love that quote, but I also love this. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place.
Correct.
The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has actually taken place. A big part of what I'm going to be talking about today is how to specifically give you strategies to pull out of the relationships 100% of what they have available to them. Your words matter. Do words matter? Are words powerful?
Yes.
Okay, words are absolutely powerful. I want everyone to take their hand to their head. Take your hand to your head. Okay, I want you to move it down here to your chin. Okay? Why is your hand here? Why is your hand here? Words matter. Actions matter more. Okay? Everyone saw the model but you stopped when I stopped. What I do trumps what I say every time. And if you've been a parent longer than 10 minutes, you know that to be true. They will do what you do. Where'd you learn that word? I heard you say it. Dang it. Oh, there I go again. We see it all the time. And so what you do trumps what you say every single time. Creating communication is the foundation of creating successful relationships, but your actions are the rebar. I don't know about much about construction, okay? I don't know, maybe some guys in here are absolutely all, if you know anything about construction, I'll promise you this, you know more than me. All I know is I had this idea, and this is the part that absolutely intrigues me about when I'm preparing a talk, is I get this idea and I'm like, I gotta learn about it. I know the difference between concrete, I know about rebar. Rebar is the steel reinforcement inside of concrete. Some of you guys know this really well and you're nodding, and some of you guys just faking like you know and you're nodding. But steel makes concrete stronger. I was looking into concrete, and I learned that concrete has two different types of strength, and one of them is compressive strength. The other is tensive strength. Compressive strength. If we poured a fresh sidewalk and we tried to bust it down, it'd kind of be difficult to do that, correct? Because concrete is very strong in compressive strength. You'd really need to do some damage to be able to pop that. In fact, you'd probably need a jackhammer or an earthquake on your side. But tensive strength. Concrete is very strong, but when it's long in a column, it's not very strong at all. You can't build a building. When you build a building, when you build a structure, when you want concrete to support something of substance, you must have rebar in it. Now, this is my idea. I think, if you were going to have relationships, would you want your relationships to have the strength of a sidewalk or the strength of a structure? Well, I think you probably wouldn't want to walk on it. I mean, it's good strength. But tonight, here's what I want to do. I want to give you a couple pieces of rebar that you're going to be able to inject into your family, into your business, into your community. I want to put these pieces, give you a piece of rebar, and some of these, they're not even going to be applicable to you. They're going to be constructive waste, and you're going to put them all the way to the side for now, because I'm a firm believer that you're not here by accident, and that one day you may remember that and pick it up. So I encourage you to take notes, write a couple things down, revisit these things. But here's my challenge to you: apply one thing. You're going to hear something that is applicable to your world. And I'm just one beggar telling a bunch of other beggars where I found a piece of bread, because this has been life lessons that I've learned. One-on-one relationships with family. When we look at one-on-one relationships with family, it's important that you understand I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I've been married for 15 years. We have 6 children. They range from very hairy to, actually, our 8-year-old's really hairy too. Anyway, some personal issues, back problems. But anyway, he's grown out of it. It's okay. It's his own little personal Lukey sweater. It's awesome. I love it. But here's some one-on-one relationships with family, some rebar that I want to enforce with you. If you're a parent or if you're a grandparent, I would say this: when you get home, be home. When you get home, be home. There's nothing that says second more to a child than staring at the back of a phone. When you're home, and we'll talk about that in a second, but when you're home, be home. My wife helps me with this sometimes, because I come home and I can't be daddy and I can't be husband and I can't be Rob, because my head's still somewhere. So with one-on-one relationships with your family, when you enter the arena of home, you have an obligation to be present, to be home. Another thing, your phone. We live in that society. And have you ever been sitting across the table from a teenager who's just absolutely all into this, and they think they're multitasking? Do you feel second or what? I hate that, but I do that oftentimes. I'm guilty. The last 3 days over the weekend, Friday, I was really convicted to do a fast. If you're not familiar with a fast is when you do without something that you really enjoy and you find pleasure in. You do without it for a period of time. Some people do that with food, and And this weekend, I did it with social media. Fasted social media. Just came off it entirely. Took the apps off my phone because I know me. Didn't open up a computer. And at first, it's really difficult. But if you honestly seek wisdom in that time, you're going to be thankful you did, because you'll be able to, the voices are unclear. When I woke up the next morning, when I woke up on Monday morning, I had 87 notifications, 9 friend requests, and 8 messages. Do the math on that. That's nearly 100 distractions that didn't distract me. And it's easy to listen when someone's not doing this on your shoulder. It's even worse on Facebook because you're looking for this. Wonder if I got a notification. Wonder if I got a notification. Your kids are worth more. Your spouse is worth more. Your grandkids are worth more. Your team is worth more. Your wife, your husband is worth more. Put the phone down. Have a sacred time in your house where there's a phone basket and you put that joker down and there's no checking. Because we are glued to those things. And particularly with kids, I'm really convicted about this. Don't let them see the back of that phone. Oh, hold on a second. You just put them second. Now, yes, maybe they were rude, maybe they were whatever, but for you to be able to do this, hold on just one second. Never let technology get in the front, get in your heart space, right? If we're going to talk about heart space, talk about that little shield, Rama, whatever that was, that's there. I'm confident it's there because Kevin said it was there. But if you put an electronic device between that, maybe if we're going to talk about waves and neurons and all that stuff, that might get in the way of something. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. A little bit of science for you. You guys can figure it out. The third thing that's not up there, that I want up there, so I want you to be home, I want you to put it down, and I want you to seek wisdom. You are not alone. Say it with me. You are not alone. As a parent, as a husband, as a wife, there are people that are walking the same walk or have walked the same walk as you. Don't try to fight it alone. There are people in your world right now that are waiting for the phone call. Hey man, I gotta talk. I gotta talk. Throw it out there. If you'll allow yourself to be vulnerable, you'll be blessed for it. And I found that out firsthand here in the last couple of months. Just throwing all my junk on the table to one person. And I'm so thankful that I've been able to do that. Some very unsafe things I've been talking about. Unsafe. You have any unsafe thing, anybody? Anybody have any, okay? The rest of you guys, great, perfect. You'll be good for someone else to talk to. Because you used to have some unsafe things. No, we all have them. We all got junk. Seek wisdom. I remember we have, like I said, we have 6 kids. Our oldest is 25, 6, something up there. And we had, one of our sons was just being a jerk. I mean, 17, 18 years old, maybe, I don't even know, 19. He was being a jerk to his mom. Me, not so much, but to his mom, just rebelling. His boy was being a jerk. And we were prideful, and we tried to figure it all out, and we tried to do all this, read Dobson, we did a bunch of stuff. Finally, we just went to somebody with gray hair that had sons, and we said, this is what's going on. Sometimes you can find a lot of wisdom in somebody with gray hair that's walked where you walk, and you just throw it out on their lap and say, can you help me? Guys, trust that. Go with that. Because we got some great wisdom that day. There was a former pastor of ours, and he said, your son has to do this. And he gave us this great wisdom. He says, in order for a boy to be a man, he must separate from his mother. In order for a boy to be a man, he must separate from his mother. It's like, we got 5 sons. That's going to come in handy. That's going to come in handy. And I'm going to have to remind Mama sometimes. But that's wisdom. I can't come up with that. Do a Google search. Good luck. You ain't going to come up with wisdom. Google don't know nothing but analytics. He hasn't walked where you are. So I just would encourage you to turn your iPad on and make sure that it doesn't come off. One-on-one relationships at work. And Paul actually talked on this. We didn't, of course, match our notes up because this just came today, and I threw the email to him about 3:30, and he went, oh, there it is. That's how this works in the back end, guys. I would encourage you in your one-on-one relationships at work. And right now, I think on the surface on this talk, and I'm a very positive person. Go on my Facebook wall for 5 minutes, you're going to see that. Every once in a while I'll put a rant, and people are like, oh, you're human, that's awesome. Believe me, I could rant, baby, I could rant. But I choose not to, because I believe that you attract what you exude, okay? So if you want to throw out poison, poison gonna come at you. So, one-on-one relationships at work. I'm going to throw out a couple poisons here that I think need to be dealt with in the workplace. Now, my workplace looks a little bit different than yours now. I was in a teaching setting for 15 years now. My wife and I run a home-based business, and we run a volunteer army, basically, of people who have dreams. Our job is to fertilize those dreams, to make those a reality, but we have some drama, let me tell you. Because when they don't have to work, it's, life happens and it's all fun. So, I read this book by Andy Stanley. It's called The Monster Within, and absolutely astounding book. And in that book, he talked about the 4 monsters that we deal with. And I love the 4 monsters because they're guilt, anger, greed, jealousy. What I really loved is what he gave the antidote. If you struggle with any of these things at work, and these could also be in family, of course, but if you struggle with any of these things, I'm going to give you the antidote for each one of these. And I'm going to tell you, one of these particularly really helps me out, so hold on. If you, at work or in any relationship, are struggling with guilt, the antidote for guilt is confession. The antidote for guilt is confession. You must confess. This could be with a spouse, it could be with a boss, it could be with anything. There's something freeing in the soul, and what keeps you from confession is pride. The ultimate of all sins. And so I would encourage you, if you're dealing with guilt, you must confess. But what if, but what if, but what if? I want to tell you, but what if you don't confess? It's going to eat you alive, and you're not going to be able to move forward towards your dreams. Anger. The antidote for anger is forgiveness. This wise person told me one time, said, anger, forgiveness isn't necessarily about the other person at all. Forgiveness is about, it releases you. I've forgiven people that had no idea they did anything. I've forgiven people that said, psh, I don't, they're not even sorry. What do you do with that? You forgive them. Because when you forgive, it unlocks the prisoner and you realize the prisoner was you. So the antidote for anger is forgiveness. And greed. The antidote for greed is to give generously. That's the antidote for greed. You've got to give it away. And there's this ugly green one on the bottom, the green jealousy. No one wants to admit they're jealous. We live in a culture that talks about, hey, it's great to be angry. We almost glorify it. When people fight, I'm just telling it like it is. I just gave them a piece of my mind on Facebook. Whatever it is, right? We live in that society greed's all over. Greed's an attribute in our society. Anger is an attribute in our society. But jealousy, no one wants to talk about that one. Jealousy is when you're in that seat right there and you're saying, I could be better than Rob. What's he up there for? Who does his hair? Jealousy is saying, she's married to him, man. I can't, why is she driving that? Oh, look what she's wearing. Mm-hmm. That's jealousy. Do you understand that? Do you understand that's jealousy? That's a tough pill to swallow, friends. So I would definitely encourage you, identify jealousy. Here's jealousy. Ready for this one? This one rocked my world. If you are jealous of anyone, celebrate their success. That's the antidote. Guys, that's worth the price of admission right there. Guys, got chill bumps on top of chill bumps. That truth right there changed my world. Because whenever I was jealous, I would celebrate the success of others. And oh my goodness, it releases you. Couple tips in closing that I want to do. This is hashtag called Love Lakeland. I'm going to create another hashtag because there's not enough of them. Called Loving Lakeland. You don't even need to use it, I don't care. It's not as cool as I just had to be there, but Loving Lakeland.
I'm jealous.
Couple different things, I am. But it's a great hashtag. It's a great hashtag.
Celebrate.
Yes.
Celebrate.
A while ago, I was invited into a community of people with John Acuff, and I won a trip over to Tennessee, and I met these people. And at this place, at the STAR conference that I went to up in Tennessee, I asked people a question. Before I'd ever ask them their name, I'd ask them one question. You want to hear what that question was? You're going to hear it anymore. I'd ask them, what's your dream? Remember Pretty Woman? Everybody got a dream, what's your dream? I mean, that's how they open it and close it. It's awesome. I love that movie. But I believe that's the best question ever. What's your dream? Before I would ask their name, I'd ask that question. And you'd be surprised at the people I met. I met a lady whose dad built her an 18-foot table. You can go to theneighborstable.com. She built her an 18-foot table. She's had over 300 people last year and over 600 people this year over for dinner in her backyard. She makes them, she invites them, total strangers she meets in the street. Strangers of strangers, she meets them on the street. They exchange stories outside on this table. And she started a movement. I met another guy. Son's got autism. When he put it on Facebook that the son had autism, he said, they said, oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I said, why? Why? Why are you sorry? Because there's the conception about autism, there's something broken. What if you embraced it? He's writing a book on his journey for new parents who discover their kids have autism. What's your dream? Another lady, she said her dream was something about fashion. And then we kept talking, got the dream. She said, well, I got this idea. I want to create vacations I want to get timeshares, people that have timeshares or cabins or stuff like that. I want to get them to donate a week, and I want to create vacation packages for returning military members and their families. Oh, that was her dream, tucked way inside, but if no one ever asked her, it wouldn't have come. I would encourage you in Lakeland, I want you to ask that best question ever. I want you to also create like what's called a brag table. I want you to create a safe place to celebrate the successes of others. When somebody, you ever notice that we'll swallow cynicism, but we'll shot block a compliment? We swallow cynicism, but we shot block a compliment. Somebody says, oh, you did great. You go, oh, thank you. One cynic, one hater, one unfollow, and we are all into that. It's called critics math. Here's critics math. It's simple. Critics math says 1,000 compliments plus one critic equals one critic. 1,000 compliments plus one critic equals one critic. Don't swallow that. I want you to begin getting people to make it a safe place. Let them brag on themselves. Ask them what's going awesome in their world. Here's a big one I want you to do. You hear some bad news on Facebook, right? Get some bad news at the office. What do we always say? Besides, I'll pray for you, right? What do we always say? If there's anything I can do, don't hesitate to let me know. Pet peeve of mine. Intentionally love. Here's the third thing. Love well, then offer help. Whenever you see someone going through a struggle, here's the challenge I want you to do. And between now and the next talk, because next talk I'm going to be talking about community in a month, and I want to kind of get inventory of this. But I want you to look for this. Whenever somebody's going through a tough time, I want you to first find something appropriate to do. Send them a card, go visit them, buy them lunch, bring them dinner. Tracy Carly's awesome at this. You know, meet a need, not the need, meet a need. And then in the process of loving them, say, if there's anything else I can do. The world's not doing that. Mm-hmm. The world's not doing that. That's one-on-one relationships. The last thing is the smile game. My daughter and I made up this game. We go around the world and we collect smiles. Do people smile as a rule? This crowd is actually really on. You guys are awesome. I love smiling. But when you go down the mall, we try and collect smiles. And the way you do it is you make eye contact. And the first thing they do is look at the contact and they smile. And most times, if you're smiling at someone, they'll smile back. If they don't, they're broken inside somewhere. But there's a connection of the human spirit in the eye-to-eye contact and the same smile. It's universal. People see it. Don't do creepy smile. Don't do creepy smile. You know, because I do sort of have a creepy smile sometimes. So that's what I would encourage you to do. So guys, I've talked a lot tonight about just one-on-one relationships. I've given you some rebar, some pieces of support that you can put into the structure that you're building of community. My challenge to you, I don't care if you do it all. I just want you to do one. I just want you to do one. Because I believe that that's how loving Lakeland is going to happen. is to intentionally love it on purpose, one simple act at a time. Thank you.
Bam.
Wow. That was great. Thank you. I'm trying to figure out how to, what was the, anyway, celebrate. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I want to celebrate your success because you did better than I did. So yay, Ron, that was great. Woo! Thank you. So there's the man right there. Okay, so guess what? Now it's time for us to take a quick 5-minute break. Time is working out perfectly. We'll reconvene and we'll get to hear from Catalyst John, and then we'll move into question and answer. And so thank you. So 5 minutes. Let's try to keep it 5 minutes.
Hi.
I just closed her with her.
Just to see if you need me to do anything.
Okay.
No, I just think your time I
I
can do it. I didn't even touch you. Do you want to know why you're better?
No.